Oh, the one in the front.
Yeah.
I won't be able to see them. Are we good?
And the actual store.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Chalo, chalo, chalo. I know.
Can't sit in one place.
Me too. Tell me when you guys are ready. We can launch? Are we good? All right then. Hello, hello, hello. Good to be here today, and thank you all for being here with me.
Thank you for having us.
This is something that I'm very happy to be doing, because bringing women together in hospitality, I think, is fantastic. It opens up space for us to be able to talk, discuss, approach topics that sometimes we may not be able to in an open environment. At the same time, give other women a chance to ask questions to help them in their own journey along the way in hospitality. So let's get there. We're talking about breaking barriers, leveraging personal branding in hospitality. It's something that I think each one of us has done or continue to do. However, what I want to do is to try and get a sense from each one of you in the beginning, how it began for you and what came first. Was it the personal branding, or was it being in hospitality, the career? Which of the two? And a little bit about your journey in the process. Maya?
Hi, my name is Maia. I'll just introduce myself a little bit. I'm a chef turned sake brewer. I am launching my own label by December. So actually I would say hospitality came first because I chose to do a chef career. But being a woman in the field, I've been a chef for 8 years. So starting my career as a woman in that field as it is was a little bit different. We didn't have so many female chefs doing fine dining or traveling to Michelin star restaurants and staging and stuff. So I do believe my career as a chef hand in hand went together in terms of personal branding as well. So yeah.
Gauri?
Hi everyone, I'm Gauri and I'm a Mumbai-based restaurateur. I actually started life as a lawyer and a CA so I was with one of the big 4 firms for 9 years and as a tax consultant, and then I, long story short, ventured into restaurants. For me, definitely hospitality came before any kind of personal branding. I don't think personal branding is really something that any of us plan as such. It just happens by virtue of what you do. And that's how I've approached it. Your brand is your work, largely. Your work has to speak for itself. So I think, that's what I've done, is just focused on, getting the restaurants, the business right and on track. And if you do a good job, people recognize it, and that recognition sort of becomes what people now call personal branding. And then, of course, you do other things like appear on panels and have a podcast and things, so that sort of, you use your voice in an effective way, and I think that's what personal branding is. But, if you do have a business of any kind, then that, to me, is the focus at the end of the day, and your personal brand just enhances and brings attention to your business, hopefully, in some ways, and, makes people aware of it. But it's a tool, it's not the end, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah.
Devika.
Hi guys, I'm Devika. So I am, it's been 10 years I think for me in being a chef. I started when I was 21, I'm 31 this year. So I think it's just around the time when Instagram launched and I started using it. So I think my personal branding kind of started before, and I just shared my journey as and when, with the whole identity crisis of I've studied literature and sociology in Xavier's, but I want to be a chef now, so what do I do, and all of that. And then I went to Cordon Bleu, I came back. My Instagram, I think, is very, I don't know if anyone that follows me, I'm very vocal about sexism in general in the kitchen, and also, as you can see here, a lot of people / women are choosing this over other things that they could have been, and not as something that they have to do and thus putting up with anything. So I think once you have that, like, I don't have to do this, I'm part of this and I want to bring a change, that kind of changes your perspective on the way you work and the way you build your brand, I guess. So that's been really important for me, to make women feel very safe in the workplace. Yeah.
Rojita?
Hi, I'm Rojita Tiwari, and I started my journey with the drinks industry, wines and spirits industry, almost 2 decades back, and that's when I joined a news magazine actually as editor for the wine and spirit section, and the journey started with the industry itself, and later on after a decade I got into my own company's business, and that's when the personal branding started. So my journey has been mostly with the industry and then shifting towards personal branding, because when you start your own business you need to bring out yourself out there and do networking, connect with people again, and try to show the world what exactly you want to bring forward and what is there and what you are offering from your side, which can help the industry grow in itself. So Drinks and Destinations is in a way my business and also a personal branding for me, and that's what I'm taking forward.
So, it's been a while that women are now more visible in hospitality and the alcohol section industries compared to what it was, say, 20 years ago. In the last 10 years, it has become really big, and a lot more women are part of our industry. Do we still have glass ceilings to break? What do you think, Maya?
I think we definitely have a lot of glass ceilings to break. I think some of the major ones that I think that still hold us back in the alcobev and the F&B sector is, number one, of course, safety. That is always going to, I feel that is going to take a long while before women feel 100% comfortable, or even their families or friends feel comfortable with them in this sector. Especially, I'm not talking about your upper management or owning a business. I'm talking about being the labor, being the driving force behind it. Your day-to-day chefs, your day-to-day bartenders who have to go home at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So the safety is always going to be a major one, and that's going to be a really tough one to break, of course. Apart from that, I think we are getting there in terms of support. But then again, I do feel, because it's such a labor extensive field, both in terms of the kitchen and the alcohol sector, I feel there's an automatic general assumption that we're not going to be able to handle it, that women cannot handle it. And I do believe that because of the safety and because of these other small factors, it does end up playing out to be somewhat true in some cases, that tend to be recognized more than the women who are actually than the communities that are actually trying to support it. So I do believe there are major growth.
I think it's great that you made that distinction between the people, the workforce maybe, and business owners.
Of course.
And I can speak maybe from a business owner's perspective. One thing is that I've been brought up as one of 3 girls, as in I have 2 other sisters, and I didn't really understand this difference between, sons and daughters or men and women or any of that, right? I was brought up to pretty much be, confident, independent young woman, and that's what's been my attitude throughout in whichever profession, whether it was as a tax consultant or as a restaurateur. So I personally think that the first step is that you have to think differently about yourself. If you think you're at a disadvantage, or you have to break barriers and things, then it sort of starts becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. But having said that, again, I speak as a business owner, not necessarily, I understand it's different when you're on the ground. So that's the first thing. But because I have interacted with a lot of women whom I'm trying to kind of come out and, speak at forums or, be part of the change, right? And a lot of them are nervous to do it. So they're very sort of nervous to speak about themselves, speak in front of an audience, whatever size of audience. So I do feel like while there are barriers and challenges that we have to face in the society, a lot of it is in our own head first. And but having said that, all of that, there's from the time, you know, I got into hospitality 15 years ago to today, there's a dramatic, you know, shift. And I don't think that there's a shift in terms of necessarily more women getting into the industry, but more women putting themselves out or being known as being part of the industry. So, you know, I'm sure there are also more women getting into the industry, but there's definitely a bigger spotlight than there was before.
So glass ceiling wise, 100%. So I've worked in kitchens in Bombay, I've worked in kitchens in the UK, and the whole workforce thing is like 100% an experience you need. Like, I wouldn't know what it would be like if I didn't work and then owned a business. So at the moment I do both. So as comfortable as I feel in the kitchen, I need everyone else to feel as comfortable in the kitchen. I also come from privilege, so I have the, you know, I can say things and not get fired the next day, you know. So I think which is very difficult for a lot of people who are hating things that are going on, but they can't really say anything because then it's like, then who will hire me? Then, you know, so I think there's also a lot of privilege with that. But I just guess if more women just join, which is happening anyway, I think. But yeah, so as I said, I've been here for 10 years in the industry, dramatic change, but still not there yet, which is what I think. Yeah.
What do
You
think?
know how it was. I mean,
I do.
We both have been witness to the beginning of the women in the drinks industry. I mean, you know, back in those days, basically, I come from a background where alcohol was not discussed in my house. Nobody actually even touched alcohol. And to that, me starting with a publication and talking about wines and spirits and interviewing people, going for tasting sessions and, you know, talking about wines so passionately, falling in love with the story behind every bottle, and, you know, getting so interested in the field was definitely something my parents didn't expect. And that was something, it took me some time to convince them that, you know, this is what it is, and you have to understand these are agricultural products, there is a story behind it, and wine and spirits are not just alcohol overall, and women working in the industry are not to be looked down upon, and, you know, this is a job which is respectful and women can do it. And this was just the beginning, 2007, 8, 9, you know, there were hardly few women who were in the industry. Shatbhi was doing great by then. There were few women who were producers, few who were heading businesses, one or two who were in the writing business. Nobody was actually doing serious journalism about wines and spirits. So that was kind of very interesting. But over the last 15, 18 years, I see a lot of changes happen in the field. Many more women coming forward, doing the tastings, and you're turning into influencers, or, you know, at least getting into business of, I mean, for example, you, Maya, I mean, getting into the production side, or, you know, even heading the marketing and everything. So that's quite interesting, the way the alcohol industry has evolved and given a chance to women overall. And I see that globally, actually. I just came back from Mexico, and in my panel, I was judging at a spirits competition where there were 150 judges from all over the world. And in my panel, which I was heading, we were 4 women and 1, you know, guy who was the taster.
Which is a pretty much a change.
Yeah,
which is pretty much a
big
change.
You women tasting spirits and judging in an international platform is something which is incredible. Never happened earlier. So that's, I think it's
So obviously, when we talk about safety in the workplace, as you brought it out very rightly, because I interact with people at the ground level all the time when we do trainings for people who come to work in bars and restaurants, and that is something that has been brought out over and over again. It's something that we've brought out with restaurateurs and business owners as well, about safety, in not just safety in the workplace, but if you want women to work in bars and late night shifts, then there is something you need to do to make sure that they get home safely. So yes, that is something that we've been debating for the last 10 years, and I think it's a subject that continues to haunt us. Because yes, it is a major issue. Bombay has actually always been a very safe city, but now with the influx of people from all over the country coming into Bombay, I feel that same quotient of safety that I felt when I was working maybe 30 years ago is not the same anymore. I mean, I can feel the difference, you know, and I used to work and get home at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and not worry at all that I would, you know, get home safely. But today, I probably don't feel the same way even at my age. So I can guess what happens to women who are in the workforce. So I think that is something that we all need to work towards together, both as people from the industry and people who are business owners, to see how we can tackle more women coming into the industry, but also making sure that they get home safely if we ask them to work late at night. That is an environment that we definitely need to create. Another question. Along your journey, do you think that your personal branding has helped you either navigate through the challenges that we face in the industry, whether it's a bias, whether it's just simply opportunity?
Anyone wants to take
I
it?
mean, if you have a voice, it's really foolish not to use it, right? Whether for yourself, your business, for the industry at large, like whatever, right? I think that it's a wasted opportunity to not put yourself out there for the right purpose. What the impact is going to be, how, you may go into it thinking, I'm doing it for this agenda, and 10 other outcomes happen as a result of that. You have to just keep an open mind and put yourself out there and see where the chips fall, right? I think that's the approach I've taken.
Okay.
But I think the main thing when it comes to personal brand is to be true to yourself. And you see a lot of people out there especially now with Instagram, and I think the most effective voices are the ones that are truly themselves, and I think then you grow your tribe based on people who relate to you, who connect with you in some way. And I think that's the most important thing. But I do feel like you can't go into something saying I am on a mission to build my personal brand in a sort of, without there being some substance behind that. If that makes
So it's about first building your skills, your values, and then going from there to say, well, this is who I am.
Yeah, I mean,
And therefore using that.
What is the brand? What is the
Exactly.
brand? Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not just like even if you go out and you speak or you're on Instagram, like.
But that
putting yourself-
exists, no, Gauri.
About what?
In today's day and age, that does exist, therefore. Yeah,
exists.
because it does exist, therefore. Therefore, I'm saying,
You speak for the sake of speaking.
yes,
Yeah,
it exists a lot.
Yeah.
It exists a lot. So to find that balance between who you are as a person, who you are as a professional, and then who you want to be on social media. Now, you can all three be the same person, which shows your branding is equal to your skill, is equal to your authenticity.
I think that's what we are aware of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you have, on the other hand, three different personalities.
Yeah.
So how do we find that balance? What do you think?
I am the same. So I would say it's a good thing and a bad thing, and even the bad thing is actually a good thing only. Like, I would say the good thing is I have people coming up to me even when they're just coming to dine at the restaurant, young girls saying, I joined the industry and I want to work with you after you're done. I left this job because you talk about it, which I think is all that needs to be done. Talk about it, and
Correct.
you know that this is not how it's supposed to be. That is one thing. Then there's another thing where there's a boys club and they're like, don't say this in front of Devika, she'll talk about you on Instagram, don't say that, that's offensive. And I'm like, you shouldn't say that if it's offensive.
If it's offensive,
I don't
it's
think you should be
offensive.
scared of me. It's
Correct.
offensive in general.
Exactly.
But then it's like, oh, this Devika, now she just doesn't take a joke, and oh, she's just. And I'm like, bro, if you're saying something sexist and I'm not taking the joke, I think it's fine if it's not funny. And I'm good, you're a little scared. So that I would say is kind of like the downside, because then you're like the uncool person in the boys club. But who cares?
Sorry, I just want to add, like, I think it's important to firstly decide and be honest with yourself as to why you're doing this.
Correct.
Right? If you're doing this for or you're not really thinking about it and it ends up happening, that's one thing. If you're doing this for your business, I think one thing to keep in mind is it can as much backfire as it can
100%.
help you. And again, purely as a businesswoman, for example, if you become too much the face of your brand, when you eventually want to separate from it, maybe because you want to sell your business or you want to exit from it, it can become very hard to do that if your business and your brand are so strongly intertwined.
100%.
Right?
There are so many times where Devika, this has happened, don't post about it. Don't write about this because like it will become something that it shouldn't become. But if I had, because I do have an opinion on everything, but everything doesn't have to
It's
be
like the head chef of a restaurant who doesn't own the restaurant, not a patron of the
Yeah.
restaurant, being the face of the restaurant. The reason you go to a restaurant should be for the chef, it should be for the team and the food and the product that it's serving.
Yeah.
So sometimes I felt like when a restaurant gets too attached, like when I was a chef, it's happened to me as well. Like I've had 2 restaurants that have failed because I started it and it did a certain way, and then the moment I stepped away, it was a complete different show. Like, and it wasn't able to maintain, and that backfired on my brand as a chef. So it does, you cannot be the face of a product-driven brand. If it's a product that you're serving or a service you're providing, you should not be the face.
Unless you are the product.
Unless you are the product.
As in, like, it's like you're a consultant, so people are coming to you for exactly your
correct.
service. Obviously, you have to be the face of yourself.
But I think even then, you have to keep your own business and your personal page. If you're talking about just Instagram, for example, it has to be separate. It can't be the
100%.
same. It has to be
100%.
completely separate. But if you're talking about personal branding overall, I mean, it's not just being on Instagram and talking about stuff, but it's also about showcasing what your business is and the way you want to portray it to the world. And sometimes it comes out of necessity, because when you are starting up as an entrepreneur and you don't know where to go to, you have to create a voice of your own. And you might have a foundation of learning, education, whatever expertise in the industry, but you still need that tool to reach out to your customers or people that you want to do business with. As a consultant, I feel that my company has a separate voice, and as
Rojita,
as a wine and spirits judge and educator, and as a taster, whatever, I have a separate voice. So it's very important to keep those two separate and understand how you want to build your personal image in the industry.
So it's about the difference between personal branding for yourself and personal branding as part of business, which are 2 different things.
Absolutely.
So if you need both, then you need to keep them separate. But if you don't, you're okay with one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. So, all right. So another quick question. Can you share a story or a moment where after, say, 8 years, 10 years in the industry, you found that your name, the personal brand, which you derived after years of putting in all the effort, your name opened up a door for you?
Yeah, I can give an example. Like, I remember back in 2018, I was asked to become a member of the managing committee of the NRA, the National Restaurant Association of India, and the then president said to me, "Gauri, we need a woman on the committee, will you come?" And for like literally like 2 seconds, I was like, screw you. But then I was like, oh, I just got a seat at the table. So yeah, of course I'll take it. And then what you do with it
is up to you.
But I think like, for sure today, I think there are a lot of opportunities and doors opening up for women, because we have to fill a quota, or they have to check a box, or be a director on, be a board member, or whatever it is. I'm like, grab it with all like your open arms, because whatever it is that gets you there, then you've got that. You actually almost have like a slight advantage over men who now have to like fight for that position, whereas you might be getting it just for your gender. I think like we have to stop being offended about that beyond a point, and you see it as an opportunity, because that's when you can then go in and you have a position to, or you have a place to then start making a difference, right?
Maya?
Similar, like it's given me one of the biggest, opened up one of the biggest avenues. So when I applied, so the sake brewing community in Japan is very closed. They do not allow outsiders. It takes years. You have to go and sit in Japan and force them to allow you into the breweries to learn, like with the span that I did. You can go for a week just to intern small, but like living with them for months, they don't allow you. So I had to apply for months and months, and as they read about me that I was a ramen Japanese trained chef and I was and I was a woman, there were around 100, I think 100 applicants globally for the seat. There were only 2 seats being accepted into Japan. So being a chef, being a woman, being a ramen chef, the career that I had till date helped me become a sake brewer. So yes, definitely it opened
I
up.
don't think I have a particular story. If I think about it, I will tell it.
Anything at all,
I
even
don't-
if
I
it's not a
don't-
story, it's just
I don't think I can remember a
Okay.
particular like
Moment.
Yeah, like
Which said that-
defining moment. I don't think. Maybe there is one. I just can't think
Ah.
of it right now. If I
That's
do, I
okay.
will bring it back up. You can
that's okay. Cool.
pass.
I've just gotten offers from people to conduct tasting sessions just because they wanted a woman to be the voice and they
Okay.
wanted to do it, which was great because I got an opportunity to do that. But yeah, that's one thing that I can remember. But mostly in earlier times, I have also seen opportunities being passed from me to others because they were men. And so that I've seen the opposite side.
Opposite as well.
But now it's changing, so which is great.
You're saying at some point you have to stop.
yeah.
It's very tough for me to not like get
Comes
irritated.
with old age.
No, but but you get to know about it later.
I think I'm the only one who's
didn't
qualified
get
to
the-
talk about that, Gauri. Seriously?
I would happily take something just because I was woman. I'm like, if I'm applying for it, something I want,
Yeah.
and I know I'll do a good job. You have to have the confidence that you will deliver. You don't just take something and be like, oh, because I'm a woman, I'm going to do it.
Sometimes you don't
everyone
know.
should
Sometimes you realize why it didn't happen because they wanted to give it to someone else. So you just realize it later, and then you can't obviously fight with them. But yeah, that used to happen. But thankfully that has changed.
Now
it's
you
not
can
the
fight.
same. as
Now
last-
it's-
yeah, not the
it's-
same. They want
gloves
you
are
in
off,
fact.
yeah.
More and more.
Now
people want
they
you as
want more women
to represent
to
brands,
represent
yeah,
brands
to
and
talk
to
about
talk,
brands,
yeah,
to
that's
educate.
You know what's
It's great.
unfortunate is that sometimes even women put down women, right? So
not sometimes.
okay,
Yeah, it happens.
Not
a lot of
sometimes.
that much.
Very often.
Yes.
I always say women are women's worst enemies. And I've seen that
very
often
dramatic
enough.
and sad, but
It is, but
yeah.
it's called perpetuating.
And just internalize misogyny. Also,
Yeah,
I guess.
it's called perpetuating. Like, if I went through shit, why shouldn't someone else go through shit as well? Instead of working in the exact opposite direction, saying that,
I will,
if, I will make sure that the one
someone else
after
doesn't
me
have
will
to
not
have
go
it so
through that
hard.
shit.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
that is.
paid my dues. Everyone needs to.
No,
pay
but
their
I think that's changing. That it's not the same thinking anymore. I feel that
No,
that
I
at
see
least
that.
the
Yeah.
women that
It's changing.
I've
I see
been
that a lot.
interacting
Of
over
course
the
it's
last
changing.
But
But
it's changing
I
a
feel
lot.
that women are supporting women and they are uplifting each other and they're trying to help each other. I mean,
In today's
wherever possible.
small
but it's
communities,
yeah,
yes. In
it's
today's
happening.
small communities,
But
it's
I'm not
happening.
too sure if it's happening in the kitchen.
So
or,
I
you
don't
know,
mean it in terms of
restaurants
people
or
trying to
anything.
put someone down. I mean it more in terms of them perpetuating the idea of it being a boys' club or a man's world or
yeah.
whatever. I think that's what I meant. So, it like you said, it's up to whoever to make that conscious effort. To,
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's when we've gone through our journeys, and if we are able to then translate that into other people's lives and other women's lives, and showing them that there is a path that they can follow, and trying to help whenever and in whatever way we can. I'm not saying that we can do it all the time, but however, whenever there is an opportunity to say, mentor someone or answer their questions or help them through a crisis that they're going through, help them overcome whatever it is that they have. I think if we can even do that much, that is something where we're allowing them to kind of open up their own careers, open up their minds, and give them confidence to kind of
Yeah.
do well, to do better.
Which I think a lot doesn't. There aren't
That's
enough
not
mentors.
enough. That's
I
not
feel
enough. So yeah, that brings me to my next question. What do you think, or have you been able to use your experiences to mentor other people in any way?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be to follow in your footsteps. I simply mean as women in the industry, as women in hospitality. Have you been able to, or has anyone then come to you to say, help me?
I
To walk a
have.
better
I
path.
definitely. But I have this. I think I've just like started my journey or entering the phase of my life where I
So
can
say in
actually
reverse.
offer help.
So say in reverse.
I actually do have a lot of mentors right now, but they're from like the business world and surprise, and they're
doesn't
usually
matter.
like men,
Yeah,
which is
that's
funny,
okay. That's okay.
But I do take right now where I'm finding myself looking for mentorship is the business aspect of things, finance, to understand finance, business, because that's what I think I need right now. But I do have for my chef career. I do have a lot of young chefs come to me now who want guidance, a call from me, can you call here, can you get me a job here, can you get me an internship here, and I'm more than happy to like pass it on if I can. But surprisingly, I don't get a lot of questions from women. Even though I see young girls and interact with young girls in the kitchen, somehow they find it harder to ask help from another woman. They find it so difficult. I think it's, I don't know what it is, but they find it, even if you might be more friendly and might be more open with them or give them, show that you're even nicer, they still have a reservation about asking another woman for
I
help.
wonder why.
I don't think it's a reservation about asking another woman. I think it's just a confidence issue. It goes back to that original thing that like have the confidence to ask, you know, for whatever, a seat at the table,
The
like
worst
a
is no.
question about like
The worst could
will
happen
you
is
be
no.
my mentor. I've been part of like several mentoring programs and you know, you have this first conversation because it's like, oh, kick off, it's all set up. The follow up is like non-existent, you know, and I'm not going to run after
after
someone
you.
and
Yeah,
say,
of course,
hey, when are we having our next like you know meeting or whatever. It's so I actually I've not had a great experience with people taking advantage of that, you know, opportunity that's
Presented.
that's there in front of them.
That's-
But you know, having said that, like I think mentoring is one part of it. I think you can uplift women around you in multiple different ways, right? It could be in like without compromising your business in any way. Like it could be supporting them with their product or, you know, service.
Correct.
Or I mean, for my podcast I did a whole season where I had only women guests because I was triggered by something a female journalist wrote, which excluded women. But yeah, I also get triggered in my
We all do. It's not just you, we all do.
We got mutually
Basically,
triggered
yeah,
by
it was
that
that
one.
one. But yeah, you know, so I think like even giving a platform or just saying like, by the way, there are like so many women in the F&B industry doing fantastic things.
Yeah.
In case you missed all of this, but you know, I think there's multiple ways of non-traditional sort of mentoring and uplifting that can happen, and you just have to keep. It can be a conversation, right? Like I could be sitting with you here and chatting, and you know, just we are chatting about some problem, and I just say, hey, this is how we did this, and what we did at work, you know, how we tackled it, and yeah, so it doesn't have to be like in a formal sort of setup every time. I think you have to just be open to helping.
That's
in
it.
whatever you can.
No, I think I've had it both like from chefs who are girls and also entrepreneurs who are women who, you know, are like from smaller cities, smaller towns who are like, you know, I'm going through all of this, or what do you think I should do? And chefs, it's either I'm working here, do you think me being treated like this is okay, or do you think I should quit? Or can I come work with you? It's one of these two things, both of which I love. And I'm like, if like this is okay, this is not okay, which you should know. What you can deal with, which is just hard work, and what is just like harassment. So don't deal with that. So I've had a lot of people come work for me because of that, which has been great. Again, via Instagram only. And also, how do I, you know, deal with this business as a woman, and you know, no one in my area will take me seriously and stuff like that. So it's been quite positive for me, I would say.
With me, I mean, as you know, that in liquor industry we don't have a very efficient mentorship program or anything. But I have always received queries from people on Instagram or in social gatherings, women coming up to me and asking how did you start a career and how to go about it. If I want to do something, then I have always been open to helping them, and I have always given them the time. And later on also, if they are calling me or interacting with me, I have given them a roadmap and stuff. But it's not been like a proper mentorship as such. But I have always tried to do that.
Be, as much as you help,
interact and give them confidence and say that this is how you can build your career in the liquor industry, something which they had never thought about. So yeah, so that's what
Do you
happened.
think women sometimes have a negative opinion or already start with biases about men-women relationships in the workplace, starting with the fact that, oh, he's going to get a better opportunity because he's a guy, and therefore I have to fight for my place.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Always.
There's
I
always
think it's ingrained in our.
That's what I said.
you know,
Right,
what is the
beginning.
message
It's
that
in the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to first believe that you are equal before you can
Exactly.
expect others to see you as equal.
Exactly, exactly. What is the message we should give to all these young women who are there? I can
Yeah.
see some familiar faces. So,
You know, I'll say one thing that I think has held me in good stead is that confidence that you get as a person, okay, this is gender agnostic,
Yeah.
comes from knowing what you're talking about, right? Like, you've got to do the homework, man. You've got
Yes.
to, you've got to know your subject well enough to then have the confidence to speak up and correct someone, or speak up and ask a question,
Absolutely.
or be a part of a conversation, right? If you don't know, then don't expect someone to come and give it to you on a platter. So I think be willing to put in that hard work, build that confidence, and then literally world's your oyster.
I think for me, I would say that first is education. You need to learn. If you have a proper foundation, only then you can build your personal branding, or create something out of it. Second is to go out and network smart, because networking is not just about exchanging cards, it's also about creating a connection with people, a genuine connection where you are speaking to each other whenever there is a possibility. So that kind of networking is required. Third is to just find mentors, people who can actually help you in your career. And then fourth is to just create your own voice and see where you stand and be genuine about it. So these are the 4 steps that is very important for anyone who wants to get into the hospitality industry. I think it
And also
applies
don't
to
just pick the cause because it's trending. Like,
Correct.
Yeah, no,
very
exactly.
annoying,
No,
like,
yeah.
it is very, very
actually,
annoying.
like,
I'm with
for
you there.
some
You
few
have
days
to be
you're
genuinely
affected by this,
passionate
and then
about
you're
something
over
that
it.
you're
Like,
doing. Yeah.
So a few
Otherwise-
points that we've picked up. A, safety in the workplace is still a very important concern. We have to work with it, we have to work on it, and we have to make sure that if we want more women in the workplace, then we need to address safety, and that's really, really important. Second is the feeling of equality needs to come from you. You need to be equal and feel equal. If you don't feel equal, then you're always going to go out there and fight for equality. But you really don't need to fight for equality, because once you come from the fact that you know that you are no different from anyone else, that is your base for everything that you do, no excuses. The third is to have the strength to upgrade yourself, and to know that if you want to be somebody in the business, you need to know everything that you can about the business that you talk about, which means build your communication, build your information systems, and build knowledge, because knowledge is power. And if you have that, then confidence by default comes to you naturally. And so the question of not being equal does not even arise. You don't need to start with a negative thing that I have to fight for my place, because you don't need to, since you are equal. And if you come with that mind force, I mean, like you, Gauri, I also grew up in exactly the same way. There was no differentiation at home between guys and girls. We were all given equal opportunity to do whatever it is. So for me also, this whole gender thing did not even, reflect till journalists started asking me questions, and I was like, huh, what? Really? So you know what I mean? That when you don't come from that as a background, by default, you will be fine.
But that's also a privilege, no? Like, I feel you
It
come
is a
from that
privilege.
background
Yeah, it
because-
is a privilege. I'm with you 100%, which
Yeah.
is why it's a confidence that we need to pass on to all the women who work with us. I think if they can see who you are and they can see where you are, and if you can pass that on to them, tell them, and trust me, we are talking about women, but I've seen the same issue with boys as well, where they were told that they were not good enough. Till we had to tell them that everyone is good enough and all of you can do whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it. The thing is, do you want to be whoever you are badly enough? And if you want something badly enough, you will be able to get there, because you will push yourself, you will upgrade yourself, you will give yourself all those tools that you need to be who you want to be, and nobody can stop you from getting where you want to be, because it's only you who can stop yourself from getting wherever it is that you want to be. So I think this is what we all stand for here, I think, because each one of us has done our little bit on starting somewhere and reaching somewhere, but we've all put in effort. Each one of us has put in effort to make sure that we get there purely by working our skills, our knowledge base. Personal branding came later. And personal branding will help. I'm not saying it doesn't help, it does. It absolutely helps, and it does open up doors, but it only opens up doors when the value of your personal branding means something. The branding on its own without the values and the skills does not work long term, it works only short term. You can see 1 million followers, but those 1 million followers will mean nothing if there's no value to it. So if there's questions, please go ahead.
So I at the risk of something very condescending, no, not to you, to Gen Z, because there's a huge conversation which goes on as to how they are difficult people to work with and as peers, as subordinates. Obviously, hospitality industry is very hands-on. It's very service-oriented. How do you have youngsters who would make your life difficult in the workspace? Do you think there is a very distinct differentiation into how we have grown up in our work environments as to how they have come into the workspace, and perhaps going into the future, considering talking about women raising the bar, what expectations do you have? Because benchmarks are already being set. You have to go above and beyond that now. What expectations do you guys have now from the new generation of
I have
working
very
women?
low expectations. I had high expectations. Then
How do you change that? Because
So
it's going to be
I have a
Okay.
again
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
an older person, and so the age gap is a little starker. It's a struggle, okay, and what I've realized is that I actually have a lot to gain from Gen Z as well, right, as a business, because we have to keep evolving as a business, and they are going to be our consumers, so it's in my interest to listen to what they have to say, and and keep that open mind to continuously sort of stay relevant, right? Having said that, I think that there is a certain difference in approach as to how things should be done. And it's not to say we are always right and they're always wrong, but I do think that there's a way of communicating why something has to be done in a certain way, and and being able to let them do that and then have a basis for saying no. See, we also have to recognize that they're coming into the working world from a very different place. A lot of them, COVID, where work from home was very normal, just using that as an example, right? Work from home was par for the course. So to break from that and understand why it's no longer effective, it is, they're coming from it from their experience and their perspective. So you can't just be like, it is, you believe me, like, and do as I say. I think you have to say that this is why and this is, and let them experience it for themselves. And, I'm just giving one example.
I feel like
but
sorry, continue.
No, but I also feel like sometimes you have to keep, I'll give a very small example, and I don't know if it probably is a bit of a Gen Z millennial thing, but or boomer, whatever thing. But you like, we used to work every Saturday because in the F&B industry, like, weekends are like
It's our
working.
Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah, it's like Monday,
Friday, Saturday,
Tuesdays
Sundays
off,
are
but,
Monday,
like,
Tuesday,
weekends are
Wednesday.
working days, right? So, but at least for like the office, okay, Sundays you're off. Then there was this thing of like, oh, but what about like every other Saturday, can we be off? And I'm like, okay. Then there was like, okay, what about 2 days work from home in a month? And I'm like, okay. And now I'm like, I'll draw the line, right? So the thing is that, did it kill me to like, do that? I'm like, okay, if you get your work done, fine. So I think you have to come in between, but you also can't expect change just by directing it. You kind of have to show, and sometimes you also might have to change your way.
My
But,
problem
yeah.
is the skill sector, You know, I understand from a certain, but like because of the access to information, you can watch a 30-second video, and I believe the attention spans are my issue. They really like, my problem is the attention span. They can watch and learn about anything in the world in 30 seconds. Basically, like get a rough idea. And it's probably some of the best in the world they learn it from in that 30 seconds, because you have the best of the best sharing information now, right? But the fact is, when you're learning a skill like in the kitchen, sometimes it's the fact that you do it every day. That, and you know, you just do it every day. It needs to become motor memory. Like if someone puts that bag of carrots in front of you, what do you do with it? It should be motor memory. How do you wash it? How do you process it? How do you store it? How you tag it? It should become motor memory, right? So that is, and that only comes when you practice it, right? So my issue is when their attention span and the lack of, they're in such a hurry to get to that goal that they forget that some things you cannot beat around.
I feel like they come only from a different, like we come from this generation where our parents were like, when we were young, we did. But they don't come only. They are like, no matter what their financial background, they are like, this is not good enough for me, I don't want to take it. Like, and I'm like, but you know, why are you coming from this? Like they're very like this, no matter what, whether privilege, no, ye nahi karna.
But this is happening
and
across all
like, what is
industries.
happening? Why don't you want to
So
work?
the conversation about the service industry becomes so interesting.
Yeah.
Is because it's so hands-on.
Yeah.
You have to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Practice does make perfect,
Yeah.
right? And we've seen this. The best of the best of the best of the world have trained and trained and trained and trained and trained. It's
Yeah.
a non-stop learning
Yeah.
process. Now here is a generation, again with a very short attention span, who finds it a very tedious process.
Yeah.
So did we when we went through it.
Yeah.
Now they're washing their hands off.
They have no patience, and
So
I think skill is what you mentioned.
in your
that was-
industry of writing, right? How do you argue with someone who has a tool like ChatGPT versus what you didn't have? I mean, when you didn't have
Yeah,
it,
true.
and you learned it the hard way, and you wrote using your brain and all
And
of
I-
that.
and I
but
don't
you
think
can't
that-
argue with someone who does have access
Correct,
to that tool.
correct. You
so
can't.
it's like if there genuinely is a problem with what they've written using a tool, you would show them maybe why this is not as effective as what you may write using your intelligence. So I think that like either it's like show by reference why this doesn't work, or use it. Like it's you can't just direct someone and say you can't use that. You can't, because we are in a world like, just like she said, like, you know, your parents said in my time I did it. Yeah, but you didn't have laptops, you didn't have like mobile phones, you didn't do, you know, you didn't have Uber or whatever. So I don't know, like
No, but we have this weird like guilt to work hard, which they don't have. I don't know why we have it.
They never
But
had it.
we have.
I
they
mean,
don't have
none of them have it, and they
it.
don't believe in it.
And my thing is, if everything is so easily available, why aren't you better? Like that
Yeah,
is
maybe
also
they
another
will be
thing.
at
Like,
that
be now
stage.
better.
Maybe they'll create the tools to not have to do the.
And this is obviously there are
I agree.
exceptions.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
probably
it is.
what will happen.
the
Maybe
stuff
They
that we
don't
had to
want
do.
this, so which means they're going to get better at
Yeah.
what they want, and they will.
They
want
sometimes say
these
the
easy
lazy,
ways.
the lazy might be the wrong word, but the laziest minds are the best ones because they find the shortest route to getting their goals.
I'm
to
with
do what
you
they
there.
need to
And
do.
which is why I feel
So
that
it's
they're
like-
not going to become more writers
The
or
lazy are the most
journalists,
creative,
because they
yeah.
don't have that passion and energy and time and patience to actually dedicate their time and energy towards building a story and writing about
So
something.
they'll be
It's
creative
very-
enough to figure out how not
It's
to
just
do it.
Yeah.
easy to go on in Instagram and create a reel and do a post, but
Yeah,
they
so
would
many
not.
people have quit being a chef and they've gone back to their hometowns and now they are influencers.
Yeah.
Like,
dear.
I'm like, what?
But that's easy.
It's not easy.
What will happen in the future?
No, if for them, they
Shiny,
think it's
so-
It's just not the same. My
It'll
thing is
change.
like-
The future will change.
Generalize, right?
Yeah.
There are
it's
people
fast and they
who will-
think that it's easy for them to use their skills
You'll
in
have
that
both.
area
Yeah,
than
you'll have
actually
both.
Yeah, you'll
investing
have both.
in time and energy on building something else.
You
So for
have
them,
to,
it's-
I think one needs to listen to their point of view, because you realize over a period of time that unless you evolve with them, it's not going to work. Because if you evolve with them, you're able to reach them. If you're able to reach them, you can make them sometimes see reason. And the most important thing is to be able to answer the questions that they have and not simply blindly tell them to do something. However, encourage them to ask questions, because if they see an answer, they probably will then understand why it is that they need to do things in a certain way. The important part, however, is to stop them from whining, because I find that they whine too much. And I think that is unacceptable, because you can make changes, you can ask for changes, you can do things differently, but whining is making excuses. Because that means you don't really want to do something, but you want something handed to you on a plate. So I guess we have to kind of discourage them from whining. However, we need to be able to keep an open mind and listen to them. Complaining has never gotten anyone anywhere. But it's actually how you look at something and find an answer that's more important to moving forward rather than complaining, because it just doesn't help, because there's no solution in a complaint. So if we can move past that, if we can get them to understand that whining and complaining is not what you need to do, but finding solutions to where you want to be and showing a path to where you want to be, that maybe might help us evolve as well. And maybe, maybe they'll teach us how things can be done from a different perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that when I was working, people used to think I was crazy, because every time somebody gave me a recipe, I'd look at it and find how I could make this short so that I could finish making the same thing, which showed me a time of 1.5 to 2 hours, how I could finish it in 20 minutes. For everything that was there, because that's the only time I had, because I was working like one dog 14, 16, 18 hours a day in hospitality, and you had one day off in a week and you had to cook for the whole week in that one day. So what do? Shortcuts. So I'm saying that just like I learned those shortcuts the hard way, because out of desperation, nothing else but desperation. If they're desperate enough for free time, I know my daughter says to me work-life balance and all that bullshit, and she says like, yeah mom, you did all that, but no thank you. I like my 5-day weeks, and I hope they become 4-day weeks someday. Okay, cool. So I'm saying we should listen. However, at the same time, maybe evolution will happen. The future might be different, but it may not necessarily be bad. Maybe they'll find a way to evolve in a way that kind of will finally make sense to us as well. You have questions? Okay. Before Clea goes crazy. Oh my God.
But I just wanted to know from your perspective. So now there's already like a lot of conversation about Gen Z and how we're not hard workers, and I definitely understand what you're about.
No, I'm not saying you're not hard workers. You're just thinking differently from us, that's all.
So I just want to know from a Gen Z woman perspective, now I'm faced with two barriers. I understand it's not a disadvantage, I'm definitely going to get a fair platform, but now I'm also labeled as Gen Z. This is what you asked for.
No, I don't think
So I
that's
have a
No,
different
no.
process of hiring a millennial and a Gen Z.
So how do
I
you
don't
think-
even know the difference.
And it's not negative.
Gen Z and millennial, yeah.
I just pick certain qualities which I see in this Gen Z person, which I feel like will benefit
Yeah, that makes sense.
and which won't.
That happens every generational. By
Yeah.
the
I
way.
don't feel
We
like-
faced it as
I don't
millennials
feel like
growing up.
this
We
is
faced
Gen
it.
Z,
Oh,
so
you're
let's
like
not
millennials.
hire.
Oh my
I
god.
don't
How
think
about you
that-
start feeling sorry for me then? Because I don't know how many generations have gone by, and I'm still trying to cope with the current generation. And I'm still saying I need to evolve with even this generation. Because if I don't evolve, I'll never reach them.
I think it's not a barrier. Like, don't look at it as a barrier, because firstly, I don't even know which year that Gen Z thing starts. And all of that. I'm just like, are you doing the work? Are you not
99,
doing
I
it?
think.
Are you
That's
achieving
it.
results or not?
That's
Right?
it.
Like, whether
Yeah.
you're 100 years old or you're 10 years old,
Yeah.
the expectation is the same for me.
I just want to know personally, do you all have, while you all are hiring someone or you're working with someone, is it a different approach you take? Or different
I
She
take.
does, but
Because I
don't.
have a Gen Z brother, so I know the signs. So I'm like, okay, what this person is able to take seriously, what this person is not able to take seriously, and if with the CV he's left a job every 2 months, I know this person clearly is a bit flaky, doesn't. So just stuff like that, not like this is a Gen Z person, let me not hire this Gen Z person, because I'm not here like sitting and hiring like old people. That's not the
Yeah, I
vibe.
just want to know why. For me, the question is only why. Why is it that you want to do what you want to do? If the answer I get from there is something that I feel makes sense to me, then I'm good.
Yeah.
And that person can be 20 and that person can be 40, and I'm okay with either.
I agree.
As long
That's
as
exactly
the
what
answer
I
that comes
do. Yeah.
makes sense to me. Yeah, then we're good with it.
And someone who is passionate about what and knows what he or she wants is what is going to give you the answer, and you know that, you know, okay, fine, this is the person who's committed to this cause and they are going to be a good skilled employee, or then you know that, you know, that this you are taking the right decision.
Yeah,
Or
but I
even
think even
curious
if-
enough, if you know what I
Or
mean.
curious enough. Actually, curiosity is the
even
best answer
curious
to this.
enough
Yeah.
to have a little tiny bit of vision for themselves.
Correct.
Just for themselves, their own vision for themselves. If you can see a glimpse of that vision, that allows you to say that this person has potential. Potential does not translate always into, oh my god, this is going to be the best guy ever. But I'm saying potential.
But I
And
think from
skills
your
can be acquired,
perspective-
you know,
Yeah,
later
skills
on.
you
The
can
skills,
teach.
skills is
No,
something
but I
you
think
can.
from your perspective, like the approach is that do I also align with them, right?
Correct.
Do I feel like I want to learn from them? Like
Yes.
if you come and be like, hey, I know it's my way or the highway, then obviously there's going to be a clash.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
if you have to feel, it's not a barrier. It's just that when the alignment is like
I think it's the
very
communication gap between
minimal,
generations.
then there's an issue. But
No,
if the
you have to be
alignment
open to questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always do that. After I finish asking questions, I then stop and say, okay, now it's your
Yeah.
turn, you ask me questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
Clea
think
is
we're being
Yeah.
ushered off.
I know.
Politely.
That Clea must be saying, done with that, let's go. Yes, I know. I figured. I already made that statement, CD. All right, so thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Picture together.
Right. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I hope everybody's doing great, and I hope everybody keep their high energy. So I'm really happy, really proud to be here today. It's an opportunity to finally connect. I believe we're all based in different metros. So I'm really glad that this time it's happening in Mumbai because the scene is very fantastic. So maybe to briefly introduce myself, my name is Clea. I've been in India for 3 years now. I'm a French native, but India kind of became my new home, I would say. So I joined MONIN about 2 years back, and some of you already know me actually. So I do handle different wallets at MONIN, one of them being the marketing and one of them being the CSR. So Women Raise the Bar is actually part of our CSR initiatives. We actually launched it about a year back. And MONIN as a brand, we always thought that we have this responsibility to give back to the communities. We want to do more than just, propose some good product on the market or innovative flavors. We really want to give back to the communities. So about a year ago, I was having all those discussions with my colleagues. We were brainstorming together, what are the needs? What should we do? How can we, bring those responsibilities there in the front? And I think it's not a surprise for anyone that still hospitality is an industry very strongly over-dominated by males. And I believe, there is still a glass ceiling there. So how can we give more visibility to the women in the hospitality? How can we help them to access more easily all the leadership roles? And so yeah, I'm really glad that all of us are here to discuss all those important topics. Maybe to make also a transition, so I came to India about 3 years back, and I discovered for the first time, this notion of, that deep culture about the guest is God here. And there is no other country except India for such a sense of hospitality. So this is something that I wanted to understand better today. How come, we give so much to the outsiders, but sometimes we don't even look to our insiders. And by insiders, I'm thinking about the women in hospitality. I'm thinking about our colleagues with disabilities. I'm thinking about all the youngsters who will work in the kitchen, long night shifts. How can we do better? How can we bring more responsibility? So yeah, we're all here today to discuss inclusivity. And I will let this fantastic panel to present themselves. If you can tell us about your journey in the hospitality, a bit more about yourself, and how this topic catch your attention, and why you wanted to be part of that discussion today. Do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Ami, and I've been flair bartending for about 20 years now, so mostly as a freelancer. Which is somewhat of a different experience, I suppose, from when you're a permanent employee in spaces, which I think is the most common experience quite often, and at least a part of the career experience. It's been a fun and an awesome journey, in a way, balancing objects to flavors to skills, and meeting various kinds of people, artists of various kinds, behind the bar, outside the bar, all of it. And I've learned a lot from various spaces. And I think this topic also is quite close because of diversity, inclusion. I think there's a lack of it. And it's something that needs a little more attention, a little more focus. And I think it makes a space better. It makes it more balanced. It's just you have more diversity in the bar, within humans, within every aspect of life. I think it just makes it a better mix. So, yeah, I think it's a lovely topic to discuss, and let's go for it. Yeah, that's a bit.
Hi everyone, my name is Hemali, Bendre, and I'm a part of the luxury advocacy team with Diageo India. And bartending clearly was never the plan, okay? And I had different set of goals before entering the hospitality industry. I wanted to be an architect, and later I realized that I don't want to study for 5 years. So that's why I chose coming into the hospitality industry. And even back then, I wasn't so inclined towards the F&B industry, but slowly, steadily, I developed my passion, and then I realized that, okay, this is what I want to do. And that's how bartending happened to me. I was also seeing a lot of my seniors flair bartend, and she's also one of them. Okay, so I thought that maybe I could do this, and later I realized that okay, after 6 months I can't. Okay, so but still that never stopped me from pursuing hospitality in the long term. So I think I was very much happy, privileged that my parents were always supportive about the decision that it's okay if you don't want to do this, you can always choose to do what you like, and we know you'll do good in that. So I think that's how I started my journey. I am very privileged because I got very good mentors all the way along. Every time I've thought of talking to everybody, Shatbhi ma'am is one of them. So I've been very well guided in this industry, and that's how I see myself growing every time. I started as a bartender. I used to work with the Bombay canteen. That gave me a lot of foundation. That was actually the place that created my foundation. And now I feel very much happy and honored to be a part of this conversation here today. And I'm so thankful to Clea for having us here. So yeah, that's about me.
Hi, I'm Shikha Shetty, and like they mentioned, I come from a totally different space because I'm a content creator. So while they curate nice cocktails, I promote those cocktails, I can say. And being a content creator, of course, it's more towards brand side. So while they talk about the core hospitality aspect, I'm here to maybe throw some light on the marketing aspect. So that is one angle that we can look at. And apart from that, hospitality, getting into this happened actually by fluke because I am actually done my MBA from Wellingers marketing, and it was just pure passion that led me to get into this industry. So yes, I'm very excited. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to throw light on a different part of what you guys speak because I work closely with brands. So, that side of it, I think a lot of us don't know. So, I'm excited to, highlight that today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us here. I'll just quickly start by introducing these lovely people amongst us. So, we have Praveen.
Hey.
We have Caroline. She's been a disability rights activist for the last 20 years. We have Sachin. He's got a son as young as mine, and he has a dream that one day the son, the mother, and they'll go on a world tour. And then we have Archana and Praveen. That's like a love story at Mitti Cafe. And thanks to you all, thanks to MONIN, all of these lovely people know how to rip up the best mocktails that you can get. Thank you guys. Thank you MONIN for making that happen for them at no cost. And when we talk about CSR, usually people think about money, but I think our association together has been so much beyond that.
Absolutely.
And for that, super grateful. So a little bit about myself. I was this 22-year-old, in college, final semester, that will get a job, will earn good money, will send money back home, and with the rest party. That was my simple aim in life. But God had other plans, and I got to meet this one guy through a documentary that all of y'all should watch. And I meet this guy called Nero. So Nero was an emperor in the ancient Roman Empire. Mighty rich. You see, he would win one war after the other and the other. And one day Nero wins the biggest battle of his life. And when you win, what do?
You celebrate.
You celebrate. You party. So that's what he decided to do. So he threw a party and he invited the who's who of Tinseltown. He invited kings and queens, princes and princesses from across 7 kingdoms. And as evening befell, Nero said, boss, we need some lights to make the party happening and rocking. So Nero decided to burn waste, kachda, to generate light. He decided to burn the prisoners of war and the poor people who were captured, who he considered not more than waste. I was 22 then. Sitting in that classroom while my friends walked out, I was there for the next 3 hours contemplating as to what just happened, what did I see. Which is when I realized the simple thing in that classroom, that the problem was not Nero. You could equate Nero with atrocities, injustice, discrimination, all the not so nice things that exist in this world that will always exist. But you know what the problem was? The problem was Nero's guests, as to how thousands of them could sing, dance, drink, when fellow human beings suffered, burned and died. And at that point of time, the 22-year-old me, I realized that I was one of Nero's guests. That is, if you feel something about anything, And if you're not willing to take action, then you've taken a side. And unfortunately, that side is that of the oppressor. I decided I could not sit for college placements and instead started on the journey of finding myself somewhere. I started volunteering with these amazing organizations that work in the disability inclusion space because I was fortunate to be brought up by this stellar woman since I was 2 years old, my grandmother, and she had a disability. But all that I could see in her while growing up was abilities. Contrary to when I went out into the world, it was so confusing for me as to how a person's disability and disability alone could define the jobs they have, the friends they find, the love they find. So it just didn't click with me. So while working with these organizations, I realized a simple thing, that the problem, and our mother to 3-month-old, you'll see him outside, and a 2.5-year-old. And generally when we conceive, what do we say? We want a healthy baby. What does a healthy baby mean? Without a disability? The problem is not that there are over 7 crore people with disabilities. There is over 70 million people with disabilities in India and over 1 billion people with disabilities across the world. The problem is the larger statistics. And you know what that is? That is the disability in our perceptions that stops us from seeing the magic in their abilities. And I wanted to challenge and change just that. Needed a common denominator that could connect everyone. And what better than food or beverages as a medium to do 2 simple things. One is money should enter the accounts of our lovely team members year on year. More important than that, to be able to create awareness about inclusion with every meal or beverage that they serve. So every time you walk into a Mitti cafe, you get to interact with the team. So there is natural awareness, natural sensitization. Started Mitti with 0 startup capital and multiple rejections. 90% of our equipments, right from the spoon, second-hand oven, second-hand fridge, tissue papers, were donated by y'all, by the community. Our first cafe was a small table and an umbrella. Our first employee, she came in crawling for the interview because her family could not afford a wheelchair. If you would give her half a cup of coffee, her hands would shake and it would fall. Today, that same girl, sitting on her wheelchair, she manages 10 other people with disabilities. She's the manager for our first cafe and her name is Kirti. As I talk to you, we have thousands of Kirtis across the multiple Mitti cafes that we have, creating awareness with every meal or beverage that they serve.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, this is fantastic. And indeed, like, we've been partners with Mitti Café since almost more than a year now, actually. So we've been collaborating on different type of initiatives. And I think it's important to highlight that Mitti Café is not only in hospitality. You have many, many volet of activities. You also create some giftings and all.
Yes.
And actually, I had one question about all the things that you mentioned. Do you know the percentage of people working? I mean, you mentioned that all this amount of people having disabilities in India. Do you know the statistics about the amount?
Oh, it's I mean, when we talk about the statistics, overall statistics, it's always debatable because as per the census, even the number of people with disabilities is about 21 million, whereas the actual number is over 70 million. Out of which, when we talk about the number of people who are working, it would be, about 21%. And women with disabilities are even more disadvantaged. So I'll just tell you one simple example. His wife, Archana, she's also working with Mitti. And I think just a few days back, she catches hold of me and she says, and she's a burn survivor. And you know what she tells me? She's like, sometimes I thank God that this happened to me. Because if this wouldn't have happened to me, I would have been in my village, married off before 18. And none of this, what I'm living today, would have come true. So since the last week, I think she's been on stage 3 times already, received awards on our behalf.
Wow.
And that's the that's the reality. So persons with disabilities and women with disabilities, even the discrimination just keeps layering up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we say, like, sometimes when we close one door, some other doors are opening. So
Yeah.
right. I wanted to ask you. So, have you ever, met this type of situation in the workspace? You felt, inclusion was not really there, and it has impacted your entire career, or do you have any example of that sort?
I think it's always there.
Of course,
it's kind of always present in a way that, there's a sense. I mean, it's what's outside the bar is also inside the bar. Like, it doesn't kind of change. Outside hospitality is inside. Like, even this concept of hospitality, like you said, it's I think not just an Indian thing, but an Asian thing, or many other cultures maybe also, where you treat guests as God, or like you give them this. you do it with a lot of love and hospitality. And I think the origination of hospitality itself were by women, by homemakers, by like that concept. The entire concept of hospitality comes from there. And I think that's what we should like look up to or follow even. And we are not doing that, but we are rather, I think, following it in a very capitalistic approach. In this concept of servitude, we still see hospitality like people are getting overworked, not getting overtime pay.
Yeah.
That culture needs to stop, and that's especially, I think, in countries like India or Asia, or not across the world though, like maybe not as much in Europe. And I think we can change that, and you'll see the quality of work changing majorly. Inclusivity in various aspects, from ability to gender, like they're not just two genders but so many, being more trans-inclusive, non-binary, talking about these things a little more casually in your workspace, with men especially sometimes, because they are the majority, and especially at senior positions, being inclusive with people who speak different languages. Like we give this preference to English so much, and it's as if like people lose opportunity if they don't speak that, even if with very good skills. So, and various cultural or appearances, on various factors we sort of discriminate and we don't even realize it, and we need to unlearn some of these things, I feel, but it's just everywhere. It's very subtle, it's all throughout.
Yeah.
You'll see it in moments. There can be examples, maybe I'll think of some, but yeah, maybe you all have some examples.
Do you want to share on this one?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. So yeah, I did have my set of challenges as well, but it's always about your perspective as to how you can convert your challenge into your opportunity. And sometimes you may want to do one thing, and you know there are going to be like multiple obstacles, and they will not let you pursue that thing. But you have to really go out and ask for it. Okay. And you may not get it the first time when you ask for it. Do it again. Okay. So I had to do that, and it was very much crucial for me because I wanted to learn both sides of it. Like when I started as a bartender, we wouldn't be given night shifts. So for a lot of time, my shift became very monotonous. So I was doing the same thing repeatedly, and I wanted to break that cycle. So then it was very important that I need to learn the closing responsibilities because I have to grow as well, right? And I will only grow when I do everything, when I know the nook and corner of my restaurant, okay? So, and the perspective did not just stop there, because it was not just about the bar for me that time. Then it started to become more and more, because I wanted to learn how my front desk is operating, even if I'm a bartender. I want to learn how to run a section, so I did that. So there was always, I mean, it's there in front of you. You have to know how to grab it. So I think I was able to do that. And like in the previous conversation, what Gauri was saying, that you know, it's like there is no difference. Like you know, my counterpart is picking up a salver. I'm going to do the same thing. So there is no difference in that. So I think sometimes some people need to really accept that, and it starts within you. Like if you readily want to do it, you can always go ask for it.
Yeah. So. I mean, I remember that was one of the strong statements that you had during the first round table. We should never wait for things to come in our plates.
Yeah.
We have to take it.
You have to go get it.
Yeah.
So basically, I think that these days restaurants are also like organizations, right? So you have to have strong policies. For example, a hospitality industry functions just like a corporate. So you have to have a committee, like a posh committee.
Yeah.
So these days it's, I think, 20 people more in an organization, you have a posh committee. There should be women empowerment programs, because that's where you push people to go out, And I think hospitality is something like in Indian culture, they say that a woman's hospitality basically starts at home, right? So the poise, the warmth, women are always groomed to be like that. So I think the right approach today is that you have stringent policies. Safety for women is a very important thing. For example, in XYZ 5-star restaurants, there are so many women at the front desk. They risk, they are out there working for a long time. So I just feel there should be policies especially for them. I mean, every restaurant staff, especially, at 2 or 3 when you party and you just walk in, it's not the in-house guests who stay there, but a lot, and I know a lot of women have faced that they have unwelcome guests at 2 and 3 and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I think it's a culture that you develop within an organization, be it a restaurant or any space, you know. The right kind of policy is something that we should focus on, is what I feel.
I mean, that's a very relevant point. And so, unfortunately, I don't have the exact statistics in mind, but I remember like one of the main, first reason why the women today leave this industry, it's mostly because of safety.
Because they feel unsafe because of the erratic hours of work. And my parents are from the hospitality industry, so that's how I, jumped into content creation, because I had an idea. And my mom was in the HR department for like 11 years with Taj. And she was heading the Pan-India operations. And I've heard so many stories of the attrition of women leaving. You know, in a month she has like 30, 40 women employees in the organization just leave that space. And why? Is because they feel unsafe. So I think you have to, it's all about at the end developing a culture where women feel safe to go out there and work. And they can do that only when, you have that mental peace. So that's a very important aspect that most of us just neglect always, that your culture should be developed. And the culture not only from when the woman steps into the organization, but it's also before that. So, before that, when, and even at the exit, because you want that she gets out and speaks to other people about the culture of the organization, and it all starts from there. So how do you weave that together back end? So that's what I feel, that today when you talk, people are hesitant to get into this space because of the safety, and that's one aspect that we all should, have stringent policies around that, is what I feel.
But that's one of the points that I would like to challenge today. Like, how do we make sure like that for the organization, it's not just a checklist, I've done that, I'm inclusive. Like, how do we make sure like this culture is really there with like strong basis, and it's like spreading around? Like, how can the leaders basically like help more support that culture?
So I just think that has to come from a leadership team. An employee at a lower level or a mid-level, it's very difficult for an employee to take that, because that has to come from the top management. If a CEO of a company, invests time and sits with and says that this is one of the checklists that our organization entirely should focus around this, automatically things will roll smoothly. So it's the top management to get a proper induction and training, which leads to, follows by the mid-level and the lower level. So everything starts at the decision-making aspect, is what I feel.
Right. I think I have a perspective that I'd want to share. So while top-down is great, it's quick, but the only way for it to be sustainable, it has to be participatory and bottom-up. Today, if you walk into any of our cafes and if you ask who's the owner, I don't think any of these guys will point towards me. And I think that's been our key to scaling. From that small table and an umbrella which was donated by the community with zero startup capital, today we're the world's largest chain of cafes, completely managed by adults with physical, intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. And that's only and only happened because of the sense of ownership that these guys have. It's not a 9 to 5 for them. It is a sense of economic independence, important, dignity, even more important. And with that, I'll just add 2 examples. So when Sabiha, she's got multiple sclerosis, very severe disability, has no control over her hands or her legs. You must be wondering, Kirti, she's in a wheelchair, but she can at least move her hands. Sabiha, she can't move her hands, she has no control over her hands or her legs. What use is she to a Mitti cafe, right? So she came in, we tried putting her in the kitchen, it was a big flop, it didn't work out. Then we realized that this girl has got the gift of the gab. You know what that means? If you come in for a 20 rupees chai, she will talk you out of a 50 rupees combo meal. That is that girl's strength. And she has left Mitti, she's become a big shot now, outgrown us. She started her own grocery store, deployed a person with Down syndrome, and she's one of our vendors today.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome.
So these are the possibilities, and it's just about believing in the people, and especially on the people that conventionally not a lot of people will believe in. These are the guys who show you magic, manager, assistant manager, right? And the question remains, why does it have to be Mitti Cafe, after years and years of rejection? And all of these guys are assets. Second perspective, so when I started my journey, like a lot of women entrepreneurs, I went to investors and I mentioned I want to do blah, blah, blue, etc., etc. And they asked me that, oh, you're just out of college now, all energetic, jumpy, hunky-dory. What when you get married? What when you have children? What will happen to our money? They didn't complete the sentence, but I could complete it for them. I did lose out on a lot of checks then. I didn't have an answer to them then, 8 years back. I have an answer to them today. Yes, I'm married to this amazing person, Sadiq. So when you said that it is so important to involve every gender, and because when equity doesn't work, then when there is discrimination, it affects every gender, not just one gender. So we need allies everywhere. We cannot dissociate one entire gender from the conversation. It's very important. So for me, the ecosystem was favorable. Yes, got hold of the best husband possible. I did have children. So I remember I was 8 months pregnant, and I received a call from the United Nations. They wanted me to speak at their event in Morocco. I was 8 months pregnant, and we went to the doctor for a fit to fly certificate. And the doctor's like, "Acha, okay." And she gave me a certificate, and I still remember it was written, "Not fit to fly." And I went back home and I was so upset, and my husband said, Sadiq, he's like, "Alina, I really think you should go. Do you want to go?" I said yes. And I went, 36 hours Morocco. Not once did he tell me that it's your choice, your decision. If something wrong happens, if you deliver on the flight, then it is your fault. So I had the agency to choose, which is extremely important. And I had an ecosystem to support. Fast forward, I've taken 300 flights with my first one. The second one, he's 3 months and we've already taken 26 flights. So, and I have an answer to them then. Becoming a mother has made me so much stronger in every aspect of life, including being an entrepreneur.
Wow, thank you for sharing. To get back on one of the points that you just mentioned, like how do you build this collaborative culture like this? Because I think in India, top down is the easy option in most of the cases, but indeed, like to create something more inclusive, then we have to be fully collaborative. So. Yeah. What are like the practice you put in place within MITI to develop that?
So one is the culture, right? When we talk about violence, I mean, there are so many survivors and so many unreported cases. I mean, all that we talk about are the cases that we know, statistics that we know. So many that are unreported that will go on. I mean, I think even in this room, I think most of us would have faced instances of violence, and we're not aware. So one is to break the culture of silence, make your people empowered enough to speak, to even question you. I think that is extremely important. And thirdly, I think the power of the community to be able to achieve your dream and grow exponentially. You cannot discount the community. So for example, I walked into one of our cafes and there was this man, he was so angry, he came storming at me. Somebody must have told him that I'm a part of Mitti Cafe. And he's like, "Are you part of Mitti Cafe? You know this person here, the way he talks to me. I came here for a samosa," and he's like, "Samosa, how many? This is the way he talks to me." So I calmly explained to this person that his name is Bharat. He is in the autism spectrum. Not all disabilities are visible. There are hidden disabilities as well. Today, he comes to work, his mother, who's a single mother, she can proudly tell her relatives, her neighbors who would make fun of her son, would not invite them for any events that they would have, that today my son is earning with dignity. He's getting back money home. He's supporting me with the household expenses. And I told this person in the front, who is our community, that it is only possible because of you. So this person walked out, and the next day he comes back, and I saw him at that cafe and I hid. I was like, oh no, round 2, God. But, and you know what I saw? He got a friend of his, he's giving Bharat a high five, introducing Bharat to his friend. So perceptions change, people change. And I think the core of what we do at MITI, the core is that compassion and courage exists in the community. People innately have that, naturally have it. You just have to tap into it, believe in people, give power to your people and to the community, and you'll see magic happening.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is leading to my next question, but like, I think indeed, like building this inclusive culture will definitely open more, opportunities, and I think it's really creating like this innovative creativity, like which really, like serve the corporates nowadays. And maybe at Diageo, you have some examples of some trainings that you've been putting in place.
Yes, so we have a global program for inclusivity and diversity, and under which we have this program called as Hive, which has now become a part of that global program. So we've actively been running Hive in a couple of other countries as well as India, and in India we've been doing this for the past 4 or 5 years now. Shatbhi ma'am has been one of our panelists. Okay, back when I was bartending, I've been one of them. Meenakshi has been one of them. So my journey was like attending these Hive sessions to now actively being a part of it. Okay, so it's been like incredible because I get to meet so many women across so many states in India. I've met so many bartenders. The fact that when I have to talk about bartenders in the workplace, okay, women being bartending in this workplace, 5-6 years back also, ma'am, you must have known there weren't as many women, and now you see. I was surprised, like this year we collaborated with WACT to provide level 1 in spirits a scholarship to women in the industry. We were able to certify more than 70 bartenders in India who are women. And I was surprised to see there are so many women bartenders in the country, because sometimes you just know a bunch of them and there are a bunch of people that you always interact with, but when you go and see the bigger picture, there are many people out there who we actually don't know. Okay, so I had this very good opportunity of meeting all of these women, interacting with them, and you get to see the fresher side of it, that now people are accepting this as a profession. They are coming forward to readily be working behind the bar, and they're very happy about doing it. The society sort of is now kind of like accepting women in the workplace, and not to just say women as the gender, but others as well. So I think it's been a very, very good way of bridging that gap. And when we talk about mentorship, when we talk about scholarships, this all is like you said, that what can the leadership do? This is what the leadership can actually do. Education is one of your biggest powers, and you should never take that for granted. I mean, the more you start digging into your books, you'll always feel it's so less, and you can do always so much more to it. So I think you grow when you learn something new every day. So today we are here and I'm learning so many new things from all of you. So that is a part of growth, right? And if you want to grow, you have to do something new every day. So this is what I've always believed. I think education is one of those platforms, and we can provide that platform to so many women out there, because maybe your organizations may not be so inclined towards trainings, but by having these kind of collaborations, we can actually inculcate that as a practice in all of these organizations that can push them to do better. Because one of the biggest problems in our industry, in hospitality, is attrition, like she was also mentioning, right? Today you may be staffed and tomorrow you may not have the staffing. So how are you going to bridge that? Is half the population of our country is women, right? And we are not utilizing that. Why aren't we doing that? So I think education is one of those things that can bridge that gap. So I mean, I would definitely want to tell all organizations that you need to have very good training and development programs inculcated in your organizations that can help women also be a part of that workforce. And do your training sessions, do one-on-one sessions. It'll help you find out probably what the challenge is and how you can overcome that challenge. Because sometimes we exaggerate the problem so much. The problem is so decorated that you actually forget to find a solution to it. And that is very much more important than just you've analyzed the problem, yes, but now you need to work on it. You need to find a solution to that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I definitely agree with everything you said, and education is one of the main pillars. I believe, more than education, we have to give visibility to that as well. And that is one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, especially because, I mean, you're like a superstar on Instagram. So how do you use today your visibility and notoriety online to promote that message of inclusivity, and how do you inspire this new generation? And I think it's interesting to share as well that the Gen Z, so I read that statistics like 77% of them will be more keen to join a company when they have an inclusive culture. So, how do you spread this message?
So, today, I think brands are more conscious. They are very sensitive to these things. And while social media looks very, rosy and flowery, and you cannot directly promote it because you're promoting products over there, but we do help brands when, it comes to their CSR and etc. things, but vocally, because of the following, people hold us accountable, and then you have to answer questions. So I think right now in the online space, people are not talking about it, but yes, brands are getting really conscious about this part, and they are taking, so that's what I said, that this is a lot to do with building, like she said, with building a good training system, because once your team is strong to educate your organizations, automatically that reflects everywhere, because your communication to the community changes altogether. Like you also mentioned, communicating everything, it's key. So when those policies are defined somewhere, it's out there. But we as influencers cannot speak on behalf of brands or something that, this is what they are doing, because it's solely product to promote. We are promoting their product.
Yeah.
So marketing is a lot to do with that. But this is such a soft kind of a culture that you can't be very vocal about it online.
Yeah.
So that is the thing.
Yeah. And I think there's this very, strong gray zone about the social media. I mean, with all the AI coming in, which is also, bringing a lot of injustice in a way, because all those algorithms actually are based on non-inclusive kind of culture.
And I feel these days online people are very insensitive also to such things.
Yeah.
Your basic simple message can come out in a very different manner. So everything is very, very sensitive. All the content that goes, when a large audience is following you, you have to be careful about that,
Yeah.
So that is much not to do with an online marketing per se, but I think organizations should define that, is what I feel. You cannot market that you're doing this. You cannot market your training programs as such on a platform like this.
Yeah.
So it has to start wherein building like an ecosystem which is within the organization, and I think it automatically comes out there when you go, because obviously companies have their off-site team bonding programs and everything, so it's just there when we cover it basically.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to say something? Because I mean, I know that you're also really active on social media, so how do you use your brand reputation as well to corporate the good message and to promote that?
I suppose just like being out there also is like doing something. Just taking space, like just taking up more space, I think. In spaces which are male dominated, to have people who are not cis male to take up space, to like you said, voice, speak up more, to sometimes unlearn stuff, like for sure educate ourselves on things, but unlearn some of these preconceived notions and these stereotypes that are ingrained in us. We don't even realize it. We don't question it. We laugh at sexist jokes very casually, or ableist jokes, or any kind of...
We have a lot of blind spots.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Like, just kind of self-reflection. It can be a great learning, like a great life thing. We need time for that also sometimes when you're overworked or mentally overstimulated and many things. I feel like there's also mental health is not spoken about enough in hospitality.
Yeah.
Dignity of labor, we create this whole hierarchy concept. So in a way it should come from bottom up, but that opportunity should be given also.
Exactly.
Like where you have someone at the senior position should not abuse their power, use their power as a sense of responsibility in the right way, that you have certain more responsibilities and therefore you get more authority. But yeah, sometimes it's abused within the industry in ways, and we just sort of we are like, oh, our bosses are this way, or we just overlook certain things, which is why sometimes I feel like the Gen Z is really changing it about quite well.
Yes.
And I really like that, like they're making it better for us in a way.
Yeah.
They're doing things we couldn't. And I guess, maybe it'll just keep getting better like that in some ways. Yeah.
I think you point out something quite interesting, but yeah, indeed, like we have a lot of blind spots. We have a lot of bias that we're not even aware about. I mean, as long as we have a brain, we have bias. That's just the way it is. And actually, I've read this very interesting study, like it's a neuropsychology type of study, and like I think actually it's nothing really surprising, but we of course have like much more, empathy and sympathy for the people in group that will look like us. And in the opposite, like people out group, we will somewhat feel very like indifferent about their failures, success, whatever. But again, it's something very unconscious. So how can we be like more aware about our bias? How can we have this self-reflection? Is it something that you practice on the, daily basis? Like you mentioned that you try to remove this construct.
Yeah, I think especially like when it comes, I think there are a few forces which really control our lives, and I've maybe observed that along the way more, like especially patriarchy, the concept of capitalism. It's the way we've been grown up in school, it's to fit this capitalistic structure. It does involve a hierarchy concept, it does involve segregation, it does involve like people doing one thing and one thing only, which sometimes might not be good for your own development. There are various aspects which we could change a little. We could mix up creativity a little more, bring creativity even in corporate setups, and just give more dignity to labor. Especially like in hospitality, I think housekeeping is still not given that dignity in many spaces, and I think they are the most like crucial pillar of hospitality, because if you don't have a clean environment, it doesn't matter how good your chefs or bartenders are, like it doesn't matter anything. Like cleanliness is like just so crucial. It can ruin everything, like it's unhygienic space. So and they are mostly the least paid also, and there are many things. So these are small things.
Yeah, I think also adding to what you said, you're coming back to the basics. When we talk about development, so there's a huge, we use development and growth synonymously, right? These two terms. But if a few people grow, the GDP of a country will rise. If people fall sick and hospitals make money, the GDP of the country will rise. In the GDP of the country, which is known as which is a very common indicator of how a country is doing, we do not include women who are working at home.
Unpaid
and
labor.
Unpaid labor, hours of unpaid labor, and without which I don't think any country would, could be or would be where it is. I think, questioning the basics is very important. Also, we're very privileged, right? Sitting here in this amazing space, speaking a particular language. There are millions of young children, girl children out there who would never be able to go to school because of their gender. There are millions who would never be able to see daylight in India even today because of their gender. We've all gone through lockdowns. Persons with disabilities are kept in a permanent lockdown for an entire lifetime because of inaccessible infrastructure, no jobs, inaccessible attitudes, inaccessible perspectives, and here we are at a point of privilege. We always talk about social work. Even if we hire some person with a disability or an acid attack survivor or say a single mother, we feel very good. Oh, we're doing such a great thing for that person. But just let's replace social work with social duty, and you'll see the world differently and what you do differently. It is absolutely a duty for us to do whatever bit we can to not just speak about diversity, equity, inclusion, but to make it happen in reality. And whatever we are doing, we are powerful enough to do that. So when we say Mitti Cafe and we have a tagline called Magic of Abilities, it's not just the magic of abilities of our team members with disabilities. It is much beyond that. It is the magic of abilities that lies within each person in the community to do their bit, change their perspectives, create that one job, make that one friend. And I think with that 111, the world can absolutely change, and it is almost like a debt that we have for every privilege that we enjoy. And life is about repaying that debt. Maybe we'll never be able to do that, but the journey is life. And again, social work and social duty, very, very different things. And if we look at it from the perspective of duty, we just, a lot of things just change for us. And also, when we talk about people who are involved with us, often we refer to them as our beneficiaries, right? If we change that word beneficiaries to our stakeholders, you see the world differently, you behave differently, you get different reactions because they are important owners, they have important stakes in whatever you're doing, whether it is someone who is, in the housekeeping team, whether it is someone who is, helping you in your household, whether it is someone who is doing something where, you consider that job to be very low, but just imagine someone not doing it. So, give importance to that person, give that sense of dignity, and you'll see the reciprocation in the form of magic that happens.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I think like we're slowly approaching the end of the time already, like. Yeah. So I just wanted to, finish this round by asking a very simple question, and all of you maybe can, take part of it. So what is the golden rule of inclusion, according to you? What is the golden rule to respect today to ensure inclusion? Yeah.
Golden rule, huh? Okay. Think about this now. Yeah, there could be a few.
Yeah, or maybe all of them.
I think just be a little open and willing to change also ourselves a little. If we can be a little more flexible, it will make us better people too and make it a better environment for the people around us. Yeah, for now I can think of that. Yeah, be more open to change.
Flexible, open.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think change is inevitable, and we must adapt to changing ourselves every time. It is also that when you have inclusivity in your workplaces, it's so much more important that you understand it's a two-way learning. It's never like only you are teaching somebody and that only that person is learning. No, it's not like that. You're always learning from the other person as well. So diversity is important when you can learn from these particular people as well. You never know, you pick up a better skill. You never know that, right? So I think inclusivity is also important because you get a different perspective from many people, and then you can choose which perspective is actually good, for your development and for your growth, overall for your organizations as well. So for this, I just wanted to, because she's been speaking about this, we also at Diageo, we conducted a training for people with disabilities to, to teach them how to make cocktails. And this year during World Class, we conducted our very first competition with people with disabilities, wherein we had people flying from, Bangalore and all, and coming to Delhi to be able to, represent themselves and make a drink. So I was hosting that, and I was very privileged to do so because I was getting to learn so many new things. I realized how they clap is like this.
Yeah,
okay. So the entire audience was actually doing like this. Yeah. So it was a way of expression, and it's great to have inclusion because you get to learn so much. You can adapt yourself so much, and you will grow from that situation. And there are qualities in people, right? Like I may be good at something and she may be better at that. So it's always like when you have inclusivity, you're always getting the work done, right? Rather than thinking about who's doing it, but you can definitely have your own set of skills, and you could be better at something, somebody else could be better at something, and you can put that to use together. So that's when we all talk about teamwork, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, together everybody achieves more. Like that's team, right? Yeah. So I think that's why that's really important. Even when I used to play basketball, and my sir would always say that 5 fingers are never same. Okay, you need to have people with different heights. You never know who can just dribble a ball out of somebody else and just make their way out. Okay, so it was it's always like that. It works like that. So,
Thank you.
So I don't think there's any golden rule, but I think a lot of people underplay in the sense that we can control what we are doing, but we cannot control what others are doing. So I think sometimes it's very important to put your foot down and say that no, this is not done. So I think it starts with being confident and going and showing up there and fighting for the right is what I feel. So you see these days also, as per trends, there are so many homemakers who are starting business, I know of someone who's in and around our area and she started a business of bhakri. I mean, for the longest time she's been home and she's getting so many orders, and I'm happy to promote that. So basically, I don't think as of today nothing should stop you. Just take that leap of faith, because by the time you think years pass by and you're like, okay, fine, I've lost on so many years, what do I do? So I think we should reflect within ourselves and just start somewhere. It's not about failing or succeeding in it, but we should just go all out and do it, because this current time is not going to come back again. So I think that's really important to just take that step. You feel so it's all about you within. Nobody can control what you are doing, and I think if you are level-headed, nothing can stop anybody to do it. So I think it should start when you are working on yourself rather than anybody instructing you that this is what you have to do.
Yeah. I mean, the change starts from inside
Of course,
first to then impact the
strongly
outside.
believe that.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with what you said. So from that small table and an umbrella, which was the frontage of our cafe, and the back of the cafe, the kitchen was in a dilapidated tin shed full of generations of rats. That was our first Mitti cafe, and which was cleaned with the support of the student community. So today, fast forward, as I mentioned, we are the largest chain of cafes in the world to be completely run by adults with disabilities. Along with that, today we've started our cafe inside the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which was inaugurated by the President of our country, inside the Supreme Court of India, which was inaugurated by the Chief Justice. The Defence Minister inaugurated our cafe at Lucknow International Airport, and all of this, when I say all of this, always remember that table and that umbrella and open air. So when it would rain, we would all get wet in the rain. So the possibilities are always there, and the way to reach it is, a lot of people will glorify the idea, right? That you have to have the most amazing idea for success. I'd say it is 99% implementation, 1% the idea. Second, have a rhino skin, gende ka chamda, while you grow. Third, desperation is the biggest asset that you can have, whatever you want to achieve in your life. Be desperate, be shameless, be leech-like. If somebody calls you a despo in life, be very happy, be a despo in life. Be extremely adamant. And second last but not least, I think a lot of people say self-confidence, but how many of y'all are self-confident? How many of y'all are self-confident? How many of y'all have self-confidence? All of y'all?
Yes.
All of y'all? All of y'all? Is there anyone who doesn't have self-confidence or lacks?
One moment.
Depends.
Yeah.
So me, most of the times. So if you're lucky and you have a lot of self-confidence, great. But if you're like someone like me, I mean, even before the opening for our next seven, it's going to like kuch to ho jayega. If you have that attitude, don't worry. If you're in my team, even if you have less self-confidence, give in your best. Just, give in your all and put in 100% faith, and you will still be successful. Lastly, the power of the community. Who's the community? Each one of us here. I mean, the power of each one of us to contribute to the other, it's incredible. Tap into that, and compassion and courage, as I've mentioned many, many times, and I cannot mention it less, are the two weapons that can eradicate any problem that our world faces today, whatever we want to do. You just have these two elements, compassion, courage, and the world will change for what it should be, and that lies in each one of you. You all already have the power. God has been kind.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to, as a reminder once again, that hospitality is not only there to serve our guests, hospitality is also there to serve the humanity in a way. So I think now we can all commit together that first, let's question our own bias, let's be more like self-aware, let's try to see the ones who sometimes are the invisible.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's ensure that, nobody in the workspace is a stranger anymore. Because at the end of the day, the real luxury, it's not the marble, it's not the crystal, it's not the Michelin stars.
Yeah.
The real luxury is to feel that you belong somewhere. So thank you so much, everyone, for like spending this time and sharing your voice and opinion. So
Thank you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Want to say something?
It was an awesome little
Praveen
circle
wants to
here.
say something.
Yeah.
Sure,
Is that all right?
Yes.
of course,
Thank
of course.
you.
Please join.
He's Genie Praveen. So anything that you want and you tell him, and it will happen.
Okay, my name is Praveen. I'm working in a mini cafe. But before that, I'm working, my first job, I'm selling 1 cup of tea on a signal in Sakinagar. But as of now, I'm serve favorite food and chai on a table for abroad passages.
Wow. Wow.
Because of community, because of mini cafe, and because of I am. Because as of time, I feel I'm a celebrity.
Yeah.
You are.
Yes, and I'm because in a community, word is I'm a disabled. I'm a specially able. But in a sentence, disabled and specially able, there is a few words I'm a able. That's why I'm lucky. Thank you.
And he rips up one of the best mocktails at Mitti Cafe.
Yes.
So you all should try your MONIN mocktails at Mitti Cafe via
definitely
Praveen
want
and
to see that.
Caroline and Sachin.
Yeah.
And I request you, please visit my cafe
Yes.
in arrival terminal to Chhatrapati Shivaji terminal. Okay, please visit, and I'm waiting all of you. Please.
Yeah.
And I'm working in a morning shift with my beautiful wife.
Thank you.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
We'll be there. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it's a good time for us to have some refreshment now. So let's get inside in the